Welcome to A View to a Grill. I'm Johnny. Today we're going to be doing some General Tso's grilled chicken wings on the Weber kettle. Hang on. Hey Siri, how do you say General Tso's chicken?
In Mandarin Chinese, General Tso's chicken is 左宗棠的鸡肉.
Thanks Siri. Now let's get our chicken prepped. First off, this is something you don't have to do. You can leave your chicken wings whole, but I like to separate the drum from the flapper. And all we'll do is try to trace our knives right in between the joint. But if you don't happen to find that joint and you have a sharp knife, you can just firmly press down on your knife and go right through the cartilage and bone. Now once you have all of your chicken wings trimmed up, get them in a bowl and then stick them in the refrigerator. So I'm doing all of this prep the day before because I'm going to brine these wings overnight. Our brine is going to consist of 2 cups of water and 1/4 cup of salt and just a few squeezes out of this minced ginger bottle. We'll get this into a saucepan, turn on the fire, and all we're going to do is get this up to a boil because all we want to do is dissolve the salt. Once it comes up to a boil, just turn it off, and we're going to put about 2 cups of ice just to cool the brine down before we put the chicken and the brine in a Ziploc baggie. Now before I add this brine to the chicken, I like to make sure it's below 50 degrees. Now we'll get the chicken into a Ziploc baggie and then just pour that ice cold brine right on top of that. When you close the Ziploc baggie, make sure you try to get out as much air as possible just to help ensure that the chicken is fully submerged in the brine. Now get that into the refrigerator and let it sit overnight. Now actual brine time for me was about 20 hours. I put this in the refrigerator about noon the day before, and now it's 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm getting them out of the refrigerator and onto a wire rack. Now once you have these on a wire rack, get them back in the refrigerator. Now the refrigerator will help dry out the wing, and this will help you get to a crispier wing or crispier skin once you're cooking them. And I'll be leaving these in the refrigerator for about 4 hours. Now let's talk about our rub. All we're going to be using is about 4 tablespoons of my SPG and about a teaspoon of ground ginger. I'll get that mixed in a bowl and then put that in a shaker just so it's easier for me to season the chicken wings. We're just going to lightly season the chicken wings because most of your flavor is going to be coming from the General Tso's sauce. Now once we've seasoned both sides, we're going to get that back into the refrigerator just to give us some time to set up our grill. Today we'll be cooking on the Weber kettle. I'm also going to be using my Craycourt cast iron grill grates and whatever charcoal I have left over in the slow and sear with some new Kingsford Blue. I ran out of fire starters, so I'm just going to tear some pieces off of the Kingsford bag, spray them with oil, and use that as my fire starter. It's a good way to start the fire. It gets a little smoky, but it does the job. We'll get that crumbled up, place it under the fire starter, light it, and wait for the charcoal to ash over. While the fire's getting started, let's prepare the General Tso's sauce. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, about 2 tablespoons of white sugar, a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, a 1/4 cup of honey, 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, about a cup of water, and then as many dried red chili peppers you want. And last, just a few grinds off of your black pepper mill, all mixed together. And then you should have something that looks like this. We'll set that on the counter and just kind of let it sit there until we're ready to grill our chicken. Johnny, you didn't add any salt to the sauce recipe. And you're right, because once you reduce this sauce, it's already salty. Doesn't need any more salt. But hey, if at the end of this you think it needs some salt, then put some salt in it. Our fire is ready to go, and it's time to get the lit charcoal in the slow and sear. For the vent settings, I want to run this at about 350 degrees. So I'm going to set the bottom vent to the first oval of my Weber kettle. And then the top vent, I'm going to have that about 3/4 open. Now let's get our wings out of the refrigerator and onto the Weber kettle. I'm going to let that go for about 20 minutes and then check on the chicken. Now 20 minutes later, we'll get the lid off of the Weber kettle and see what we got. Chicken's looking good, starting to develop a little bit of color. And at this point, I think I'm gonna go ahead and flip the chicken because we want color on both sides. And this is the reason why we flip the chicken. So if we look at the underside, it does not have as much color as the side that we had up. Now let's get the lid back on the Weber kettle and crank the heat up a little bit. I'm going to reset my bottom vent to wide open and the top vents to wide open. This is going to let us raise the heat and shoot for that crispy chicken skin that we all like. Now, in case you didn't know what allows me to handle that hot chicken with the gloves, well, it's just cotton inserts inside the nitrile gloves. This gives me just enough protection from the heat to handle semi-hot chicken. If you'd like some of these for yourself, I'll have the link below. About 20 minutes later, I want to check and see if the chicken is technically done yet. We'll use the ThermoWorks ThermoPen 1 to check the temperature. And as you can see, we are basically there. I'm just going to get everything flipped over back to skin side up, and we're going to let this go for about 10 more minutes just to get some more crispness on the skin side of the chicken wing. Now let's get that covered up and bring out our cast iron pan. And that's what we're going to use to put the chicken in and reduce the sauce. Now it's a little crowded, but I was able to get all of the chicken wings into the cast iron pan, and now we just need to pour the sauce mixture right on top of that and get this over the hottest part of my grill. Now I'll get the lid onto the cast iron pan just to bring this up to a boil a little faster. And after a few minutes, you can see the sauce is now boiling and reducing. And now I'll check the thickness of the sauce. You can see it's getting a little bit thicker, but when we scrape the bottom of the pan, all the juices just rush right back in to where we scraped. To know when your sauce is done, all you have to do is move your spoon, or in this case, my rubber tongs, right through the bottom of the pan. And if the sauce does not move back to where you have your little scrape mark, if it doesn't go back quickly, then you know your sauce is thick enough and it's ready to serve. And now I'll just pour the whole mixture into a large bowl and just kind of toss it around a little bit just to make sure all the chicken wings are coated evenly. Now to garnish these, we're just going to use the green part of the green onions, kind of slice it at a diagonal just because it looks better, and then sprinkle that all over your chicken wings. Now you don't want to skip this. This isn't just a garnish, it also enhances the flavor, your overall experience of these wings. And last, we're just going to use some toasted sesame seeds and just sprinkle that all around. This gives you another layer of flavor on those chicken wings. Now let's give it a taste test. And oh yeah, that's a good wing. Now, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching a View to a Grill, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, y'all.